Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing, Magic, and Mysticism, here to talk to you more about the occult and the paranormal. Well, today I'm going to be talking about a specific subject called The Hermit Holds the Key. Before I get into that, I just want to let you all know, if you weren't aware of it, especially the fans of Saint Expedite, that this is Saint Expedite's feast day. So feel free to acknowledge him, give an offering, or even if you want to say something in the comments below this video or one of my Saint Expedite videos that are listed on my playlist. So in any case, let's get started. All right. So, as an introduction, that I'm going to be talking about a specific card in the tarot deck called the Hermit, and the Rider-Waite deck, with which it belongs, actually has what's called the major arcana, which are the main archetypes and themes and the major forces, and the Hermit is one of these forces. So when we're talking about the Hermit, we're actually, tell you what, I will show you, in case any of you has never seen this card before. So this is number 9 in the tarot deck. The way that the major arcana is laid out, it starts with the Fool, and it goes down through the other major images and forces. And some call it the Fool's Journey because the Fool is the first card, the naive one, the one that is very open, and that throughout the other cards as they go up, experiences and gains a little bit more wisdom. So again, the Hermit, number 9. Okay, so as you kind of look at the card, you kind of see that the Hermit is an elderly figure. He has a white beard. He wears a gray cloak and hood. He has a golden staff, and he's holding a lantern. Now he is looking down. He is not looking straight ahead in front of him. And all of this has a particular meaning. First of all, the lantern is the light of illumination and enlightenment with which he is seeking. He's also, because he is seeking, he has the lantern and he's looking down. Now he's looking down for two reasons. One, and these are all my thoughts. There is no standard interpretation, by the way. Many tarot card readers interpret the Hermit in slightly different ways. However, my interpretation is that the lantern is of illumination. He is looking down as if to look within, because the Hermit is about self-knowledge and looking within for truth, and maybe even looking for enlightenment, which is symbolized by the lantern. Now, he's also looking down towards his feet. The lantern is illuminating his first few steps. So you have a figure who is really concerned with maybe one or two steps ahead, not too far into the future. So he's very focused and present and mindful of what he's doing. He has a staff, golden staff. Now that staff gives him stability. It gives him power. It is also can be the wielder of magic. If we look at in the Old Testament, Moses parting the Red Sea, he had a staff, and he used it to direct the power to part the sea. You'll see Gandalf in Lord of the Rings with a staff with which he uses for his magic. So this is all, part of the archetype of the recluse, of the hermit, of the wizard. All of this kind of ties together. So just kind of give you an introduction. This is a little bit of the symbolism behind the Hermit. Okay, so when we're talking about the Hermit too, we're also talking about other types of figures you might have seen in literature and movies. So you'll see, especially in Star Wars, you'll have Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is living in a desolate region in the desert, living in a cave. You have Yoda, who is living in Dagobah and dense forest where no other humans are living. And of course, you have Merlin from Arthurian legend, who, the magical figure, he lives somewhere in some space, and he just pops in and out to offer guidance. So these are some of the figures of the hermit. Now, also, what does the hermit do? Well, the hermit, a recluse, just really withdraws from society. He is someone who keeps to himself. He is considered world weary. He is, some would say, emotionally wounded, and they go back and live by themselves without distraction. And as the tarot card explains or exhibits in the symbolism, that the hermit goes within to kind of seek his own wisdom, to develop himself. That at this point of his journey, being a part of the world isn't where it's at for him, not at all. The hermit's considered an outsider. He doesn't socialize. He is outside of social time, has his own time with which he reveals things, or that he engages reality when he chooses to. Merlin, again, would pop out of his space and go and talk to Arthur. Gandalf would do the same thing. It was, I think, Luke who actually, in Star Wars, sought Yoda out. And even then, Yoda didn't reveal himself who he was. Yoda did not look for Luke in the Star Wars episode 4, I believe. So the hermit is very much apart from society. But where do hermits reside? Well, if you look at the literature, you look at film, hermits usually will live in very isolated spots, maybe in a desert, in a dark cave, in a forest with tall treetops, which only has some amount of light coming through from the sun. They are very much isolated, very much apart from everything, and they're perfectly okay with it. They're perfectly happy with this arrangement. So what does really this mean? Why am I talking about the hermit? In a general sense, this is something that people may experience when they have deep depression and they want to kind of go within themselves and be apart and not socialize with people. And there is some therapeutic benefit from that, as long as it's their choice and they have control over it. With depression, it can become so debilitating for some people that becomes their own prison, and that's not exactly what I'm talking about. The hermit has made a choice to live a certain way and to be a certain way because that is just the nature of his journey to wisdom. But one of the main reasons why I'm talking about this is because of, like I talked about in the last virus, about being on lockdown and having a pause in reality of our society. 42 states have been kind of locked down. Economy is, I wouldn't say completely shut down, but almost completely shut down. Very few things are functioning the way that they were before. Very, very little travel compared to before. So when I'm talking about the hermit, what I'm really talking about is think about the hermit, or even trying to embody the spirit of the hermit. And the spirit of the hermit is the hermit is able to exist on minimal financial resources. He's seeking the treasures of the spirit more than anything else. He is also really comfortable with himself and his situation. One of the reasons why the hermit isolates is because of his own what it allows himself to be. It allows him to be more free and have liberties. Because when you exist outside of society and exist outside of time, in certain ways, that gives you a certain amount of power too, and that's not something that's necessarily rewarded. I think even in our culture, extroversion and being outgoing and being a people person and being the life of the party is still very much prized, and introversion, the shy person, is definitely not. People still think that is a little off-putting, and I think that maybe with on the internet and people talking, maybe that's slightly less stigmatized, but there is still definitely reinforcement for those types of themes. And that is what the hermit is the exact opposite of that. So I encourage you to look for the hermit within you and get the if you say to yourself, well, I'm not a hermit, that's not me, that's not my personality, that's fine. But while our environment is supporting this type of thing, it would be interesting to explore that within yourself. I believe that sometimes we have to stretch ourselves beyond our normal habits and personality to grow. And if this is something that you care to explore, then I definitely encourage you to do so. And that's it. That's my presentation on the hermit. Again, if you're a fan of Saint Expedite, feel free to honor him today, and you're welcome to leave a comment below. Other than that, I enjoyed talking to you. Please subscribe and like. I'll put a couple of links. Feel free to support me on Patreon. I'll put a link below on that. And on that note, I will talk to you later and see you in a future video. So see you later. Bye-bye.